Hey guys, this lesson is for Thursday, April 23rd. Yesterday we had talked about some review over test number 9. We're going to finish the review today for that, and then tomorrow you will take the first part of your test number 9. Okay, I realize that test number 9 will be broken up to Friday and Monday. So I will give you the opportunity to take both parts on Friday, or if you'd like to take it on Saturday and not wait until Monday, then you can have Monday as a day off. Up to you. If you'd rather just take it and get it all done with, I will give you the opportunity to do that, and I will leave that up to your discretion. But the first part of the test will be done on Friday, which will be tomorrow, okay? So for today's lesson, for Thursday, I want to take some time and just review this last page of the test here. This last page is all dealing with these quadratic equations and the different ways of solving them. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did before, and we're going to go over each section and the method used for each number on the test so that we can practice and be prepared to take that here in the next few days. Okay, so let's take a look at our quadratic equations here, and we're going to start. The next section is equation solving. Now understand that this section we are actually solving for x. Okay, so your answer needs to be x equals this. All right, don't leave it at the factoring parts. Don't leave it at, don't leave it incompleted. If it's a plus or minus, then make sure that you're solving for both a plus or minus if that's needed, okay? If I have an answer that's just x equals plus or minus a number, then there's no extra solving to do. But let's say, for instance, we came across one and my answer is x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 2. Well, then I have to solve for x equals 2 plus the square root of 2, and then x equals 2 minus the square root of 2. So I will have two different answers there. So be careful to make sure that you complete these all the way. I need to know what x equals in each case, okay? So these are equations that we're solving here. Let's take a look at the first one here. We've got number 17. Now understand that I've only picked these out, similar ones. These are not ones that will be on the test, but it will give us an idea of how to do them on the test so we can review properly. Okay, so let's say I have this here, the square root of 2x plus 5 equals the square root of 4x minus 3. Now the problem that we see here is both sides of our equation have radical signs, okay? So what we're simply going to do is get rid of the radical signs, all right? How do we get rid of radical signs? Well, the only way to get rid of radical signs is to square them. So we're basically just going to square both sides of these. 2x plus 5 squared, and then 4x minus 3 squared. So remember, when we square, then it just simply removes the radical sign, and I'm left with 2x plus 5 equals 4x minus 3. Well, now this is a lot easier to solve here, okay? So all I'm doing is solving for x. So I'm going to isolate my x's. So I've got 2x minus 4x equals negative 3 minus 5. Okay, combining my like terms. All right, negative 2 and a negative 4, or excuse me, a positive 2 and a negative 4 gives me a negative 2x, and then a negative 3 and a negative 5 gives me a negative 8. Okay, then I divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and x equals a positive 4. So my answer is x equals 4. Now we are going to check these, okay? So we're going to take this, we're going to plug it back into the x here and the x here, and then we're going to solve to make sure that this answer is correct, okay? Now, on the test, it does not actually say that you need to check, but I'd like you to check, Okay, if it's possible, then you do it just to make sure that you get the correct answer there. Okay, so number 17 is pretty simple. And as I said, it's like this, but it's not exactly like this. Okay, so make sure that you aren't just memorizing what I'm doing. Know the steps to take and things. Okay, number 18. Okay, number 18. Again, we're solving equations here. Okay, so let's say I have, and this is for number 18. Okay, let's say I have the square root of 3 minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, now here, the first thing we're going to do is isolate our square root, okay, because the idea here is we want to get rid of our square root. So in order to do that, I want to square it, okay, but I have to isolate it before I can square it. So I'm going to leave on this side 3 minus 2x, and then on this side, I'm going to move my 3 over. So now I've got 3 minus 2, the square root of 3 minus 2x equals 3. Now from here, I can just simply square this. Okay, so you square both sides. So this ends up 3 minus 2x equals 9, and then I'm just solving for x. So I've got a negative 2x here, 9 minus 3. So I get 2x equals 6, or negative 2x equals 6. And then divide to get your x by itself. Gives me a negative 3, and that's my answer. Now, can I check this? Of course I can check this. I plug this back into my equation for x, in this case right here, and then I solve and make sure that both sides will equal 0, okay? So this is similar to what is on number 18 on your test, okay? Number 19, we're dealing with a quadratic equation. Excuse me, let me clear this out. Okay, we're dealing with number 19. Put this up here. Number 19 is a quadratic equation, and we're going to solve this by factoring. Okay, so how do we solve our quadratic equations by factoring? So let's take a look at, let's say I've got something like this, x squared plus 15 equals 8x, okay? Now, the first thing when I'm dealing with quadratic equations is it has to be in standard form, okay? So I'm going to take this and move this over. So we have x squared plus, now 8x is going to go as my second term, but this needs to be a negative, excuse me. Put the wrong sign there. Minus 8x plus 15 equals 0, okay? Now, why did I do this instead of completing the square? Okay, well, I've got all three terms. I just need to put them in the proper order, okay? I have to put it in the right form in order to do this, okay? Once I put it in the right form, I can see that it can be factored, okay? And so that is why we take the factoring method on this, all right? So we've got... you know, I could actually do this by completing the square if I took this, move this over to this side, and this over to this side, and then multiplied my 8 by 1/2, squared it, added to both sides, and so on and so forth. But we're going to use the factoring method on this one, okay? So I'm breaking this down here, okay? So what are my terms for 15, okay? My terms for 15 are 1 and 5, or 1 and 15, and 5 and 3. Okay, and then I've got a negative sign here, so I know one or actually I know both of them will be negative because I have a negative here, and this is a positive, so these will both be negatives. Okay, so I can just put those there. I know I'm going to have an x here and an x here. Okay, so I just put my terms in there. This is 5 and 3, okay? If I factored this out, I would get this right here, okay? And I can check that to make sure that that's correct, but it is what it is. Now, I'm solving for x, so I'm going to use the 0 property here, okay? So I have x minus 5 equals 0, and I have x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals 5, and x equals 3. So my answers for this problem are x equals 5 and x equals 3. Now, can I check this? Yes. You just plug your x back into here and solve, okay? And they should equal each other as you go along, okay? So number 19, we're going to solve by factoring, all right? First, put it in the standard form, and then you can break that down into two sets of parentheses and solve. Again, this is not the exact problem that's on the test, okay? This is just one that's similar to it so we can see how to work through it, all right? So that is number 19. My answers being x equals 5 and x equals 3. All right, let's look at number 20. Now, number 20, we're going to use extracting the root, okay? Okay, so how do we extract the root? All right, so if I have x squared minus 16 equals 0, what do I do with this? Okay, well, I know I can extract the root because both of these have a perfect square root. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over so I have my x squared here and I have 16 here. Okay, by doing that, then I can just extract the root from both sides of these. Remember your plus or minus sign here, guys, okay? So your the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 16 is 4. So my answer is x equals plus or minus 4. Now, I do not have two answers here because I just have plus or minus 4. If I had 2 plus or minus 4, then I would have two separate answers, okay? But because I only have one number here, I only have one answer, but I must include my plus or minus sign on that, okay? So number 20 is pretty simple, just extracting the root, and you want to isolate your x squared and then isolate your whole number on the other side, and then you're just extracting root by square rooting them, okay? And then that's your answer. So that's for number 20. Number 21, I'm not going to do another problem because number 21 is a quadratic equation by factoring, okay? So number 21 you can put in your notes. This is another factoring the quadratic, okay? So I don't have another example for that. You just factor it into your two sets of parentheses, and then you use the zero factor property to find what x is in both of those binomials that you factor them into, okay? So that's number 21. Number 22. Number 22 is our last one here on the test, okay? And on our last one, what we're going to do is complete the square, okay? Now, we should be pretty familiar with this method by now. So we shouldn't have too much problems. But let's say I have an equation x squared plus 18x equals 10. Okay, now how do we complete the square? Do we remember what we do? Yes, we take our linear term, 18, multiply it by 1/2. Okay, 18 times 1/2 is 9. And then we square that, which is 81. Okay, and we take this and we plug it into both sides. So we've got x squared plus 18x plus 81 equals 10 plus 81. Okay, and we just add that to both sides. So we've got 91 here, and then we've got x squared plus 18x plus 81 here. Now, this is going to factor in a perfect square binomial. We already know that, okay? And we know that our perfect square will be x and 9, okay? And then we have 91, all right? And once I get this into a perfect square, then I can just square root both sides, okay? So I square root this side, and I square root this side. Okay, that gives me x plus 9. Plus or minus the square root of 91. Now, why is 91 still in the radical sign? We keep it in the radical sign because 91 does not have a perfect square. If it had a perfect square, I would square root it. okay? And that would become just a regular number rationalized, okay? However, because 91 does not have a square root, and it cannot be broken down into two terms that do have, one that does and one that doesn't, we're just simply going to leave it in the square root sign, okay? So from here, I'm just solving for x. X equals -9 plus or minus the square root of 91. And that's my answer. Nothing else can be broken down. Nothing else can be simplified. I have to solve for both x, or I'm going to check by both using 9, excuse me, I lost my train of thought there. -9 plus the square root of 91, and then -9 minus the square root of 91 to make sure that this is correct, okay? So you have to check for both, okay? When you're checking there, make sure that they're both correct, okay? But this here is my answer, all right? Since 91 cannot be, it cannot be broken down any, then I really can't add these two together, subtract them. But when I check, I'm going to check both the positive and the negative. Okay, so this is number 22, completing the square. We should have a pretty good understanding of completing the square by now. We've done a lot of that up to this point, so hopefully you guys are understanding that correctly. Okay, so that is the last part of your test. We're going to plan to take that. It's on the calendar for Monday. Okay, if you want to do it all together and complete it all on Friday, or if you want to do your first part on Friday and your second part on Saturday or Sunday, you can do that as well. Just make sure when you send me your answers that, number one, your name is on it, number two, which part of the test it is. So I want your name, and then test 9 part 1, and then submit me those answers, and then test 9, your name, test 9 part 2, submit me those answers. But you can do it all together if you want, or you can break it up and do the other half on Saturday or Sunday, or you can wait until Monday and do it. Either way is fine with me. Okay, if you have any questions on this, make sure you get to me before you take the test. This is a closed book test. I shouldn't have to say that by now, but just to be safe, I will. So put away your notes and your book while you're doing this, and make sure that you show me all of your work, okay? All of that is important. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Homework, okay? I want you to go back into your quadratic equation sections, and I want you to practice 2 quadratic equations by factoring, 2 quadratic equations by extracting the root, 2 quadratic equations by completing the square. Okay, so there's 6 problems there. 2 by factoring, 2 by extracting the root, and 2 by completing the square. Okay, and that will be your homework for today, which is Thursday. All right, that's all I have for you, and I will get on here a little later and post your tests so that you can start working on it. All right. Have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.